Hi, everyone. I guess I'll get started here. Welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting for CitrineOS. CitrineOS is a Linux Foundation Energy project. Linux Foundation has an antitrust policy notice. If you've never seen it before, I suggest you take a moment to review it. All right, so for those who are new to the project, CitrineOS is an open source charging station management system, originally authored by S44 Energy. It's been a Linux Foundation Energy project for almost 2 years now, I believe. If you'd like to learn more about the technical side of the project, how to set it up, and what it's meant for, you can visit the GitHub IO page, the QR code on the left. And on the right, there's a link to a YouTube channel where we've posted webinars that cover this project in particular, but also related topics, such as uh, going into detail about OCPP and its different protocol versions. Our most recent releases were just a few weeks ago. We had CitrineOS Core with a 1.8.0 release that was a refactor of all the data it stores. CitrineOS is originally based on OCPP 201. So the data that we stored was originally just directly the data models from that protocol. As the application has grown to include additional protocols, including older versions of OCPP, such as 1.6, and now, as of this most recent release, also OCPI 2.2.1, it's become more important that the data we store is not tied to any one particular protocol. So that was the goal of the refactor there in this most recent release. We also had a 2.0 release of our OCPI layer, which was previously just an augmentation of the core services. Now OCPI is supported by its own mesh of microservices that operate on top of the data layer that CitrineOS Core manages. Our native operator UI was updated, some quality of life updates, things to support the changes in the other releases. And also there was a closed source donation from S44 Energy for a identity provider integration with any OpenID Connect compatible system. Coming up, we have a release that's probably going to go out tomorrow, maybe, or early next week in CitrineOS Core. This is a small quality of life patch primarily. We've replaced some of our interfaces with Zod. TypeScript interfaces haven't proven to be the most useful way to maintain contracts regarding the data that CitrineOS Core maintains. So Zod should hopefully be more useful. And there was a small issue in 1.8.0 with the SQL migration, which is being fixed in this patch. We also have a major refactor of the native operator UI coming up. It's going to be our first major version release. We're moving from a single page web app to server-side rendered using Next.js, and we're moving away from our AntD integration to using shadcn and all of the other tools that come in the shadcn ecosystem, like Tailwind, TanStack, React Hook Form, and so on. The new Next.js backend we'll use for some features that we weren't previously able to support without a backend for front end, like geocoding, hosting images for locations and stations, and hosting certificate files, which should make it easier to manage the certificates needed for OCPP. Uh, After this next set of releases, we're going to be focusing on OCPP 2.1 development. So 2.1 was released uh, I think early this year, perhaps late last year, but it hasn't seen a whole lot of adoption yet in the field. We expect that to change in 2026, so it's more of a priority now to make sure that we support it. 2.1 is not a complete overhaul of the protocol in the same way that 2.01 was over 1.6. 2.1 is primarily smaller changes, and most of them are focused on the release of the ISO 15118-20 spec, which happened, I believe, early in 2024. That spec is focused on vehicle-to-grid integration. So a lot of features in OCPP 2.1 are there to support vehicle-to-grid as well. So we hope to add that to our protocol stack either late Q4 or more likely at some point in Q1 in 2026. Uh, Covering how the community for CitrineOS works. The original contributor was, as I mentioned earlier, S44 Energy. We've had a module contributed by Stackbox. They contributed a payment integration with Stripe. That Discord number is actually outdated. I believe we now have over 500 members on Discord. Many of whom have indicated an intent to contribute. We have seen a rise in community contributed PRs recently, which I'm very happy about. There's a lot of very good conversations that take place on the Discord channel. If you ever have any questions or suggestions, if you're getting new to the project and looking to set it up, that Discord channel is super useful. You can find an invite to it on the GitHub IO page that I mentioned earlier, but there's also going to be a direct invite later in this presentation. If you go to the main repository under the CitrineOS organization, that's where you'll find all of the documents that we use to govern the community, including this governance document that describes the different roles in the community. The most basic role is contributor. Anyone who's had any approved PRs that get merged are a contributor. There's no responsibilities associated with that, but you are listed in the list of contributors. The next role is committers. Committers do get the ability to directly influence the future of the project, but they do have a list of responsibilities that they need to satisfy in order to be a committer. They must be active in email lists and Discord. They must assist with reviewing PRs, and at least 25% of their hours must be directed towards the project. They must also be voted in by a majority of the current committers. The community is a very important part of CitrineOS. We change our roadmap and our features that we plan for the project depending on the feedback that we get from the community. So we very much value what you all have to say. That in mind, I think I recognize everyone in the meeting today. We don't have any topics for discussion for this meeting, so I'll move on. After the TSC, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can check out our GitHub IO page. And here is that invite to Discord I mentioned. If you want to scan the QR code, there's also a listserv. And these meeting recordings will generally be made available on YouTube. Thank you very much, everyone. And that's it for today.